Welcome to this training video on how to work on your oil and gas commodity price charting assignment. The assignment begins by going to our Week 2 class and lecture folder. We have here the oil and gas price charting assignment. I would encourage you to go ahead and open that file up and download it and print it out so that you have it on paper. The assignment will call for you then to go to the class resources folder, to the website links, and then to select Cushing, Oklahoma, West Texas Intermediate spot price free on board. Both the oil price and its sister assignment, the Henry Hub natural gas price links, are found within the website links folder. By clicking the Oklahoma, West Texas Intermediate crude free on board website link, I open up the Energy Information Administration site for this pricing data. I see a chart here. It's set up in terms of daily information. That might be helpful to me, but if I go over and scroll down, I see that I have an awful lot of information going all the way back to 1986 by day, and I'm going to need to extract just the quarter end or monthly end price, and so it's going to be more convenient in working with this information to select the monthly version of this information. The chart looks similar, but you'll notice it is less lumpy in terms of the fact that there are fewer data points in it, and indeed if I go over and scroll down, I now see that the data is greatly compacted just down to months. Although it's not technically the month end, it's an average of the month. For the purposes of our exercise will be fine. I'm now going to download this data into a Microsoft Excel format. This is the Microsoft Excel 2003 format. The charts that we'll be working on will be done in Excel 2010. If you have Excel 2007 or later versions, which most people should have by now, you'll be able to follow along with our next steps. I've now saved my workbook to my desktop computer and renamed it. I like to use a pretty conventional naming format that gives me date and more detail about the information in the workbook. When we open up the workbook and after we've enabled editing, we have two worksheets, contents and data 1. Data 1 is where we're going to be working, and our assignment is calling for looking at the information from March, June, September, and December. I have a lot more information here than what I actually need, and so I could tediously copy and paste or perhaps more efficiently get information from this long data table. This is going to require us to work with a table, and that's why I've encouraged you to learn more about the Microsoft Excel table feature. The best way to do this exercise quickly is to go down here and make a copy of the information. So I'm going to move or copy. I realize you might not have seen that as that went off the screen, but I'm going to make a copy, create a copy, and I now have an information sheet called Data 2. I'm going to move that over. I'm going to rename this particular worksheet Chart Information. Now with that done, I'm going to create a table. I'm going to insert a row, and I'm going to also turn off, in terms of view, the freeze pane, so I don't have to worry about that any further. Dropping the mouse here into January 2000 or January 1986, I go up here to Insert Table. My table does indeed have a header right here, so I'm going to click OK. And I have transformed a range into a table. This then sets the stage for our next step, which is filtering the information, removing the information we don't need, and preserving just what we do need. We're now going to begin working with the table filtering feature to get quickly at the information that we're searching for and getting rid of the information that we don't need. I'm not going to show you the entire steps because they are somewhat tedious, but they're certainly much more efficient than cutting and pasting each individual value that we need. I go over here to the date field, I should say. I open up my filter box. I notice that the information is set up from 2014 downwards. If I sort from newest to oldest or oldest to newest, it should actually flip things around, and lo and behold, it does. But what I'm particularly interested in is getting at some information that relates just to what I'm looking for, which are these particular months. So selecting the filter again, going down to 1986, expanding that box open. What I really want are just March, June, September, and December. So I'm going to deselect by unchecking the months that I don't need. Well, I do need June actually, July, August, I need September. I do not need October and November. I'm going to click OK, and I notice here in the table that I no longer have contiguous rows. I have March, June, September, and December, which is what I was looking for, and the other information is not shown. You'll be following this exercise along all the way through the 2014 time frame, but if I now select this information right here, right click and copy, I get the creepy crawly ants. I'll come over here, right click and paste. Now it looks like it didn't pick up all of that information, but actually it did, because when we go back over here and clear the filter, we now see that we have all of the information shown. If I press the escape key, the ants go away. This will allow us to quickly access all the information that we need to build our charts from, of course, all the way through 2014. All right, that might have been tedious, but I'll tell you it's a lot more efficient than cutting and pasting. We're now getting ready to begin to make our chart. We're going to do that by working with the information we've actually now carved out by month. So in order to make a chart, of course, we need to select a range and get all that information put together. Again, I would encourage you to learn more about charting. Very powerful feature in financial analysis. But what we're going to do, and I realize I'm moving fairly quickly here, but again, you can go back and follow the steps. I'm going to select and then hit Control Shift down and select a contiguous range. I'll then come up here and insert a chart, and I want a line chart, and I click OK, and I see that I do indeed have a line chart. Probably easier to work with this particular chart on its own worksheet, so I'll right click and move the chart to a new sheet entitled Cushing WTI Spot Prices Chart. Clicking OK, I now have that particular chart on its own worksheet. I'll move it over to the right so everything kind of lines up. I want us now to actually work on refining the chart a little bit using the Chart Tools tab up here at the top. We'll go to Layout, and the first thing I want to do is I want to put my chart title above the chart, which I've done. It just simply says Chart Title. Not a particularly helpful title at the moment, and I want to show you a little trick to use to get the chart title to automatically update as you need to. But the first thing we're going to do also is just delete this Series 1 by pressing the delete key and getting rid of that. Didn't really need a legend here since there's only one piece of information on here. So if we go back to chart information and I press Control Home to take me to the top here, I actually see what I want most likely as my chart title. But I want to kind of keep my information intact, so I'm just going to copy, move that over to here, and paste, and do a little bit of surgery. I'm going to call that Cushing Oklahoma WTI spot price, and dollars per barrel is just fine right there. Probably then want to go back over here to my chart. I'm going to select my chart title, and this is the little secret, equals back to chart information, that particular cell. Now that gives me the opportunity to actually dynamically change the chart title, and this is particularly helpful as I'm tracking things. My chart still isn't quite done yet. I need to do some formatting on my y-axis, so I'm going to go back over here to let's see, it's format maybe, or is it a layout? I think it's layout. Axis titles. Let's see here. Here we go. We're going to turn this into dollars. And we really don't need the 2 decimal spots, so we're going to delete that and click close. Oh, it should have taken that. Axis, primary, 0 is what I want in there. Click OK and close. Now we go. Okay, so now I've got that squared away. A few other little things I could probably pretty up on here, like going over and making that bold, which I can do right there. So that now gets us a chart, but we still don't quite have all the rest of the information that we need for our homework assignment, and we'll pick that up in the next video. All right, so now we're getting ready to answer the questions regarding the average price over these observations, the maximum, the minimum, the percentage difference between lowest and highest prices, the lowest price and the average, and the highest and average. To do this, again, we're going to rely on the table feature, much easier than doing some formulas, and that's again why I want you to be very familiar with the table features. I'm clicking back to chart information, and what I'm looking for in particular is going to be found not in the big table, but in the small table. But we don't really actually have a table yet, so we need to create this into a table. If I click into a section of contiguous data, I then have the ability to make it a table by inserting a table. In this case, my table does not have headers. I'll click OK. I've now created a table just of my quarterly information. I might want to come back here and say date. I could do that, and then make this price. What I'm looking for, though, is how do I get at the average, the maximum, and the minimum with the table feature. So again, using table logic and tools, what we're going to do is we're going to add a secret called the total row. Now with the total row, I have popped up down here to the bottom of the table I just created, and I see something that says total, and I have a value in there. Dropping the mouse into that price, I have a pick list that picks up, and the first thing that I'm looking for is on my homework assignment is my maximum. There's my maximum, $133.88. I want to actually record that value on my worksheet because that's what I'll be checking for your homework as well. So $133.88 is the max. And while we're up here, we'll go ahead and put down the min, and we'll put down the average. And again, pressing Control down arrow key, I'll go down here to the min, and I see that that's $11.35. Wow, quite a range. Pressing the Control up arrow key. What was that number again? Well, I'll just have to press Control down arrow, $11.35. Control up arrow key. 11.35. What's my average? Control down arrow key, dropping it in, clicking, and average. Answer $42.51. 42.51. Control up, 42.51. So now I've answered questions A, B, and C on the oil price assignment. How am I going to use and find the percentage differences? Well, the key there will be for you to follow along and use the percentage change calculator, and that already has another video that you'll find in the class resources folder to use and do. We'll come back and take a look at the final answers, but I'm going to be looking for your submissions in the folder to be looking just exactly like what we're going to be ending up with here as our final product. Okay, so here's how we end up with our final answers, and I'll just let you follow along on one of these. You can figure out how to do the balance, and again, the percentage change calculation video is available to you for help. I've got the calculator opened up here on the screen. I'm going to be using the percentage change calculator, base value, and new value. Our first assignment says for us to determine the percentage difference between the lowest and highest price. We've already identified our lowest price of $11.35 and our highest price of $133.88. So I'll come over here to the percentage change calculator, enter 11.35, and my high price was $133.88, 133.88, enter. There's my 1,079.56%, and that's the number that gets entered there. You'll need to do the same thing for the other values, and I'll look forward to seeing your submission in the box. We're now going to turn to the natural gas exercise. We won't be going through all the steps in the same detail that we did for the West Texas Intermediate Crude, but there's a couple things I need to show you to help you get accurate results and as a result earn the grade that you'd like to earn for the assignment. So as the assignment says that you printed out on paper, we're going to go to the class resources folder down to website links, and we're specifically looking here at contract 1, Henry Hub natural gas prices. Contract 1 is important to remember. When we click the link, this is the U.S. Energy Information webpage that opens up. We notice that there's lots of information here. It says Henry Hub, Contract 1, and daily. Well, we know that we're going to be looking first off for, instead of daily information, monthly information. So we'll go ahead and toggle that into its monthly mode. We know that we want to also be looking at Henry Hub, and we want Contract 1. So we'll select those two items. We will then download the series history, which downloads like so. We'll then pick it up on the actual workbook itself that I've saved. Okay, I've now created my Henry Hub workbook, and this is what it opens up initially like. I've added a few steps and a couple of things I want to show you here as you move forward with the assignment. Data 1 is the information that we want to work with here. Like before, I've created a duplicate of that worksheet and entitled it Chart Information. I inserted a row here so I can create a table as I wanted to. I want to go ahead and also remove the freeze panes so I don't have that to bother with. The assignment is not looking at natural gas liquids, so I'm actually going to, at this point, ask you to delete this entire column, which I've just done right there. Now I'm able to go ahead and create the table of just the information I'm interested in. Again, selecting within the contiguous information and going to the insert and table. In this case, my table does have headers. I now have the information that I need to start with. We're going to be following through all the rest of the same steps as you did before with the West Texas Intermediate. We're going to be working on producing information like what you see here for West Texas, including a spot price or Henry Hub contract price. But that's part of the assignment, and if you'll follow the directions along, you should be able to end up with something like what we'll see here in just a second. All right, when you get done with the Henry Hub spot price, you should end up with some answers like this right here. The percentage difference between highest to average should be a negative number. That's something I failed to point out to you in the West Texas chart, which I actually now have changed to reflect also as a negative value. Your chart should look something like this right here. And notice a lot of spikiness in that. We'll be discussing both the West Texas and Henry Hub pricing in the course lecture, and of course what's been happening with oil prices recently is something that I think will be of great interest in all of our work in looking at the analysis of the income statements, and particularly the balance sheet valuations for these oil companies going forward, along with their capital expansion plans. So that gives you the tour of how to do the chart pricing work on our homework.